Go to page 118. On page 118, what you will see are the categories organizer, and then down on the bottom, the sequence organizer. At stage 5, you will be using this categories organizer, stage 5, and at stage 5, also the sequencing organizer. Why can we use both of these organizers at the same level? Because they both have SS light bulb for their topic sentences and S light bulb for their conclusion. It's just the middle, how the information is organized, is what's different. So you're basically using the same organizer and just looking at whether you're going to categorize the information or sequence it. You also see on this page the description organizer. That is for stage 6. Why is this separated out? Because all 3 of these organizers need to be learned and mastered in our 2nd and 3rd grade years. Well, the reason why it's at a stage 6 is because every part of it is different. It still has an introduction, body, and conclusion, but the introduction and conclusion are different, and the body is different. So we have to have that as a separate stage, a different type of learning for our children to understand how to write a description. We looked at those 3 organizers, and we know that in stage 5, we have the categories and the sequence. We're at stage 5 in the previous video, but we wrote categories. Why? Our information was about spiders, but the big idea that we were telling about spiders, their environment or homes to catch their prey. So we categorized, we put into categories all the different homes or ways spiders use their environment in order to catch their prey. That's why we had to go to categories. Jump down to the bottom. Today, we are going to stay in our stage 5, but our information is going to be sequenced because we are going to now talk about a spider, but our big idea is how a spider transforms its prey from a solid into a liquid so that it can digest it and eat it. That has to be a sequence because when I explain how the spider transforms its prey, let's say an insect, from a solid to a liquid, those details have to stay in order. I'm not separating those out into different groups of information like different homes, different ways a spider uses its environment to catch its prey. Those are separate groups. I now have to take this information and put it in order. I have to tell you step by step what a spider does to go from a solid, let's say a bug, and change it so that it becomes a liquid so it can digest it and drink it. Those steps have to stay in order. Hence, we have to use the sequence organizer. We've reviewed our 3 organizers that we are going to look at in stage 5 as well as in stage 6 that we need to reach for mastery at our grade levels. Let's quickly, before we leave these 2 pages, jump to the opposing page, page 119, and notice we have cause and effect, compare, contrast. In total, we have 6 organizers for all of our informative explanatory. These 3, though, are not going to be something we're working on for mastery. You are using these in your thinking notes, where you are teaching children how to think at a high level, and you're helping them organize their thinking in either a cause and effect format, compare, or contrast format. That's our thinking notes organizers. Later, when they hit the 4th through 6th grade, these will become organizers that they have to master as well. Why am I telling you this? Because the first 3 organizers, let's jump back to page 118, these 3 organizers need to be learned first. Once these are mastered, let's jump back over to page 119, then you're ready to start mastering cause and effect, compare, contrast. The categories, description, and sequencing, those are your most common ways to organize information. That's why we need to master those in the primary grades. Once we have those under control, you can go to the more analysis type of organizers where they have to take information and they have to think at deeper levels, and you're teaching them how to organize here. The thinking notes are providing them with this process with a lot of teacher assistance so that they get exposure to these organizers. When they hit 4th through 6th grade, this is not something new. These organizers are not new to them. This is something that they will have already had exposure. In the previous videos, we covered cause and effect, compare, contrast in our thinking notes format. Let's move on and go back to our sequence organizer so that we can walk through the process of how to sequence information at stage 5. Where are we getting the information that we are writing about spiders? We're always going to go back to the brainstorm. This brainstorm was where we, the students and I, were recording all the information that they knew about spiders. This is their time where they're taking everything they know, and I'm showing them how to categorize and make big ideas for all their information. Everything that the students know are recorded on our brainstorm. We have them almost in these little areas that are like boxes, where we have our big idea boxes and the details that go with them. For our categories organizer, we went up here to where we had spiders build different types of home or use their environment to catch their prey. And then below we had our details that we had brainstormed. Today we're going to use this information down here on the bottom in order to fill in our stage 5 informative explanatory organizer focusing on sequencing information. Please turn to page 170 to begin our sequencing organizer at stage 5. Whenever we begin instruction, we always start off with our chant so that we can introduce to students what it is that we will be doing in our lesson. On page 171 is your teacher at a glance chart showing you all the steps that we're going to walk through in this lesson. What I'm going to do, because we've already reviewed all these pages for stage 5 in the previous video, I'm going to start off with the chant. I want you to stay on page 171 so that you can see the steps. I'm going to suggest that you grab a blank piece of paper and we will walk through a lesson making and filling in our own sequencing organizer. Let's start with the chant. Then you'll use the steps to follow along as we make our own organizer for our information about spiders. Let's say our chant. An information paragraph has an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. The introduction has a topic sentence. That's what all the information is about. Body is full of details, details, details that can be organized by categories, whole to part, or in a sequence, beginning, end, what happened in the middle. Conclusion, repeat the big idea, but use different words. We know all the parts of our information paragraph from our chant. At this point, we're ready to start our organizer. Everyone should have a blank piece of paper. We're going to follow our steps in order to write an informational paragraph that sequences. The first thing we need to do is we need to do step 1, which is topic sentence. And we know that to write a topic sentence, sometimes it may be hard to do that. So what do we use? We use our secret formula. And what's the secret formula? S, light bulb. Let's review what SS light bulb means. The first S is setting. What does that mean? Point to your wrist like it's a watch. Time and place. So what does setting tell us? Time and place. What is the second S? Subject. Who or what is the information about? Go to the light bulb. What does the light bulb mean? What's the big idea? And who cares? Why is it so important? So we have our SS light bulb to help us create our topic sentence. Let's go to the middle S, the subject, because that's the most important part when we first are writing a topic sentence, is just figuring out subject, who or what is this information about? And we looked at our brainstorm and said, oh, we're writing about spiders. So let's write down spiders. Let's jump over to the light bulb because I can't figure out if I need a setting until I know the big idea. So let's jump to the big idea, spiders. What's the big idea that we're going to learn about spiders? This is when the students and I are just talking. We're not creating a sentence, we're just coming up with the idea. What information are we going to say about spiders? We're not talking about their different homes. Our information now is about the way that they turn their solid food into a liquid. So the prey that they catch, they turn it into a liquid. So we're going to show, let's put like a bug here that's a solid, and then we're going to turn it into a liquid. So the information is how they're turning their prey into a liquid. Maybe I'll write the word prey there. Who cares? Why is that so important? Well, because they can't eat a solid. They have to just put a liquid in their body. Their body can't digest anything like that. So they won't starve to death, so they can feed themselves, so they can eat their meal. So I'm just going to put eat there. Notice I just put ideas with key pictures and words. I'm not worried about forming the sentence until I have those ideas down. Now that I have the subject and I have the big idea, let's figure out how we're going to say this. So let's practice it. This is our oral rehearsal so that we can sound like writers. I'm not just going to say, oh, I'm going to talk about how a spider makes its food into water. I'm trying to form the sentence the way I'm writing it. So the children and I are working together to create this sentence. Let's start with spiders, and we're going to act it out as well to help us. So we have spiders. What do spiders do? What's our big idea? Oh, spiders turn their prey from a solid into a liquid so they can eat it. Spiders need to turn their solid prey into a liquid so they can eat it. I keep using the word turn. Let's kick that up a notch. What's another way I could say for turn when they change? So they change their prey. They transform their prey. Let's put transform there. Prey. So notice, as we're talking, we're coming up with ideas and trying to form our sentence. Let's jump to eating first. In order for a spider to eat its meal, it must transform the prey from a solid into a liquid. Oh, look at that. I've come up with another way to say this sentence. I started with the why is it so important part. I can go back and forth and change around these ideas over and over with the students. You want to show them that you have the ideas down. Now you're putting them together to create sentences. Before we go any further, let's practice a couple of ways that we've come up with our subject and our big idea. Let's see. Spiders need to transform their prey from solids to liquids in order to eat them. That sounds pretty good. Do I need a setting for this? No, because the setting would be in many different places, and that really doesn't matter. So I'm going to put an X there for our setting. We have our big idea, so I'm going to put a line across the top, and I put a line across the bottom. So I have my entire organizer here. I have the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. We now go to the body. So we had our introduction, topic, sentence, big idea. Check, we have that there. Spiders transform their prey from solids to liquids in order to eat them. What are we doing next? Body. And in the body, I have to figure out if it's going to be categories, whole to part, or is it a sequence, beginning, end, what happened in the middle. I have to figure out, does this information need to be in order or it doesn't have to be in order? It has to be in order because I'm telling you how it changes its food. If I'm telling you how it changes its food, I can't go out of order. That information has to stay in order. So which organizer am I using? Am I grouping or am I sequencing? Staying in order. Staying in order. So I'm using my sequence organizer. And in order to do that, I need 3 boxes. So I put 2 lines. The first box will be the beginning of the sequence. So I'm going to put a little B there for there's the beginning, and I'm going to put a line. The middle box is just that, the middle of the sequence. I'm not going to write anything there. And then at the end, I'm going to put an E with a half a line across for the ending. Put a circle around each one of these letters, and we now have our sequencing organizer, beginning, middle, end. Before we go any further, I'm going to show you a few tricks to help children sequence. First of all, walk through talking about the entire process that the spider goes through in order to change its food. So we're just going to talk. The students and I are just talking about this. The first thing I may do is table talk. Tell all the people at your table what are the steps that the spider goes through to change its food. Buddy talk. Tell your buddy what a spider goes through. Now together as a group, let's walk through. What's the first thing that the spider does? Oh, they take out their fangs and they pierce the insect with a venom and it paralyzes them or kills them, it poisons them. Then it wraps it up with silk so it can carry it away to a safe place. Next, it injects this fluid into the insect, and the fluid makes the body inside of that insect turn into a liquid. It has little hairs on its mouth that it uses almost like a straw and a filter to drink up all that liquid, and it keeps out any solids, so it just brings in liquids so that it can drink the insides of that insect. So all we did was talk about it. Next thing I do is I say, all right, silent movie time. Let's act out the steps. Ready? Why am I doing all this? Because when you have steps, you can talk it through. And when you talk it through, it makes you remember, oh yeah, that's right, this happened next, that happened next, and you're just going through the whole process. When you silent movie it, you break the steps up into their own parts. So that helps you see them as separate entities. Once we talked about the steps, silent movied it, let's fill them in on our organizer. When I am filling in my organizer, this is what I do. Beginning, end, what happened in the middle. What am I doing? Beginning, end, what happened in the middle. So we all make that hand sign. Then I say to the children, boys and girls, what part of the beginning, middle, end am I going to label first? The beginning. That's right. So what happened in the beginning? And now we're only putting down the idea. We're not trying to make a sentence. Remember, ideas first, sentences next. So what happened first? We had the spider, used its fangs, and it was going to put its venom into an insect. Okay, I could write a bunch of words there, or I could just draw a quick picture. So I think I'm just going to make the top of the spider with its fangs, and I'm going to put an insect here. Let's say it's a little fly. And I'm going to put the little eyes here. Maybe I'll put the legs. So here's my spider, and what is he doing? He's injecting. Ooh, I'm gonna put injects. So what's he doing? He injects venom. Ooh, I like that word venom too, into that insect. So we're just putting ideas. If we have keywords, we'll write them down. What part did we just fill in? The beginning. Next, what part are we gonna fill in? The end. Many of you may be asking, why are you jumping to the end? Because when you go to fill in an organizer, what happens is it takes a little bit of time as you're recording your information down. And that is a perfect situation for students to then become confused. They are focusing on writing down their beginning, then they go to write down the next step, and they skip a step because all their brain power was focusing on that first step. What I suggest is you do the following, is that you say to the students, fill in the beginning, now jump to the end, because the beginning and the end is easy to remember. Once you have both of those parts on your organizer, then what will happen is when we go to the middle and sequence the middle, it's much easier because you know where you're heading. You know these steps have to get you to the end. Sequencing means that you have to be able to see your end product and then have the exact steps in order to get there. Many children, as they sequence, forget where they're heading and then they go off course. So one of the best things that you can do is say, label the beginning, jump to the end. What happened at the end? And again, in the end, we're just talking about the idea, recording a key picture, keywords. So what happened at the end? All right, we know that we have our spider, and here's the 8 legs. And what's the spider doing? It has these tiny little hairs. And let's take that bug, and maybe we'll put some like wavy lines in there to show that it has liquid inside of it now. And it's going to drink up the inside of the spider with those little hairs. So the spider is now at the end. is going to drink or suck up. The spider drinks or sucks the liquid inside of that insect. And it uses those hairs almost like a filter. So we're going to write filter there too. It filters out any of the solids. We have drinks, sucks up the liquid, or filters the liquid using those hairs. We've labeled the beginning, we've labeled the end. We know in the beginning the spider is just going to pierce its fangs and put the venom inside of the insect so that it ends up paralyzing it or it ends up killing it. Let's jump back and add that. Paralyze or kill it. So notice we're going back and adding more information if needed. Let's go then to the end. And in the end, what does it do? It's a liquid now and it's drinking it with these little hairs that are almost like a filter so that only liquid gets into its body. Beginning, end, where are we heading next? What happened in the middle? This is where we're going to go back to our silent movie time. We had the spider pierce the insect. Now act out what happened next. It wrapped the insect up with its silk and carried it away. What happened next? It expelled a fluid. A fluid came out of the spider and it injected it into the insect to liquefy its insides. And then finally, it drank it. There was the end. So we had 2 steps in the middle. Let's write 1 and 2. Put a line next to each one. These lines are just for our starter words. Next to each line, we're going to draw a picture of what happened. So here it injected. Next, what happened? That's right. It wrapped up the insect. So we're just going to put this here with silk so it could carry it away. And I'll just put the word safe here, to a safe place, and carries it away to a safe place. After it wrapped up the silk, carried it away to the safe place, let's act out the next part. So we had wrapped it up, carried it away. What happened next? That's where it injected it with its fluid to turn it into a liquid. So let's put our insect here and change it. So we're going to put injects, and we'll put a fluid inside that insect and turns it into a liquid. And finally at the end, it drinks up that liquid with its special hairs that are like a filter. We have all of our information down. Next, we're ready to form our sentences so that we can practice saying each one of these parts. Let's go back to the beginning, up at our topic sentence. Ready? Get your spiders ready. Spiders transform their prey from solids to liquids so they can eat them. In order to eat them. I like that even better. Let's go back. So notice we're revising as we go along. Spiders transform their prey from solids to liquids in order to eat them. Let's go to the beginning. How am I going to form this sentence? What do I need to ask? We're going to ask our 2 questions. Who or what is this detail about? What about it? So who or what is this detail about? A spider. What is it doing? What about it? What's this information telling us that it's doing? So notice, those are my questions to form that detailed sentence. Who's this detail about? The spider. What about the spider? What information are you telling me about a spider here in this beginning detail? A spider injects its prey with a venom to kill it or paralyze it. So I've just begun my sentence. Now I'm going to go back because I noticed that, I've already started with many of the same words. I have spider, I have prey. I need to have another way to say spider. What could I use? I could use a proper noun, I could use a pronoun, a synonym. In this case, maybe I'll just use a pronoun. I'll use the word they, because I'm not talking about one spider, I'm talking about spiders. So they, now let's say our sentence, they inject venom into their prey. I've already used prey in the previous sentence. So we could go back and we could look up the word prey in our thesaurus, or we could just as a group think of different ideas for prey. And in this case, we looked up in the thesaurus and we came up with the word victim. That's a good one. Let's go back now and say our sentence. Who or what are we talking about? The spiders. What word are we using instead? They. All right, what information are you telling me that they were going to do in this detail? They inject their victim with a poisonous venom to paralyze them or kill them. After I say that sentence, then I can decide, do I need a transition, a word to begin that sentence? Let's go to our transitions, and I have sequence transitions, only those up here for the children to see. And when we say a sequence, it could be when something is happening, more like time, or what order is it happening. This is the order in which a spider is killing its prey. So let's go down here to our order words. To begin, first. Let's go ahead and use the word first. First, they inject their victim with a venom to paralyze or kill them. Excellent sentence. After that sentence, we will go to the middle. What are we talking about? The spider. What does the spider do? The spider wraps the insect with silk and carries it off to a safe place. Excellent. So we have our spider wraps. So the spiders wrap, and in this case, let's say bug. Spiders will wrap the bug in silk and carry it off to a safe place. I've said my sentence. Spiders will wrap the bug up in silk and carry it off into, boys and girls, you know what I just noticed here? I just noticed that I said bug, and over here I said victim. I think I'm going to switch those words so that we know that the spider's killing a bug here. And let's change victim here. It makes more sense because now they know it's a bug, and when we refer to victim, they can see the bug. Look how we are revising on the spot. Let's go back and say the whole thing. Spiders transform their prey from a solid to a liquid so they can eat them. First, they inject bugs with a venom to paralyze or kill them. The spider wraps the victim up in silk. The spider wraps their victims up in silk so they can carry them away. What word could I start this with? I could start with just the, or I could use a sequence word. Next or then. Let's use next. These are a few sequence words you can keep adding throughout the year. Next, the spider wraps their victims up in silk so they can carry them away to a safe place. Excellent. Let's go to our next idea. Who or what is doing our information? The spider. What does the spider do? It injects a fluid inside the victims, bugs, injects a fluid inside the bodies of the insects. Insects' bodies. Ooh, I like that. Next, spiders will inject a fluid inside the insects' bodies to turn them into a liquid. Love that. So we have the spiders. So again, I'm using they here. I use spiders here. I can go back and use they again. They inject the bodies of the insects with a fluid so they'll turn into a liquid. Excellent. Do I need to have a starter word? Let's see, they carry away their victim. That was next. Let's look at our sequence wall. I could do then, or I could go up here to the when words, after a while or later. Let's use later. Later, they inject the bodies of the insects with a fluid to turn them into a liquid. Love this. Let's go back and repeat the whole thing. Spiders transform their prey from solids to liquids so they can eat them. First, they inject bugs with a venom so they will become paralyzed or to kill them. Next, the spiders wrap their victims in silk to carry them off to a safe place. Later, they inject. I used inject earlier. What else could I do? So let's see. Instead of inject, we went to our notes and we saw the word expels. They expel. Later, they expel a fluid inside the insects' bodies so they'll turn them into a liquid. That sounds great. So notice again, I'm going back. If I find words that I keep repeating over and over again, I can change them on my organizer. This is so much easier than if children are writing out their paper and have to find those errors. We have our last sentence to prepare now. Who or what am I talking about? Spiders. What information am I telling you about spiders here? Spiders use little hairs. Ooh, let's write hairs here. Spiders drink the liquid using little hairs as a filter. Love it. So let's say it again. The spiders use little hairs as a filter to drink the liquid. Excellent. I think I'm going to just say they instead of spiders because the previous one I said spiders. They use little hairs on their mouth as a filter to drink the liquid. That's excellent. Shall we start our sentence with a transition? We could just use the word they. I think we need a transition. We could say, finally, in the end. Those two look pretty good. Which one do we want to use? Let's use the word finally. Finally, they use little hairs on their mouth as a filter to drink the liquid. Excellent details. They're all in order. We've added information as we've gone along. We've written keywords. We have our introduction, check. Spiders transform their prey from solids to liquids so they can eat them. We have our body where we sequence beginning in what happened in the middle. 2, first, they inject bugs with a venom to paralyze or kill them. Next, they wrap their victims in silk to carry them off to a safe place. Later, they expel a fluid inside the bodies of the insect so they can turn them into a liquid. Finally, they use hairs at the end of their mouth as a filter to drink the liquid. We are finished with the body and we are heading to the conclusion. What do we need to do in the conclusion? Conclusion, repeat that big idea. So we're repeating this big idea up here, but use different words. So I'm going to take subject, light bulb. That's our conclusion secret formula. Who or what are we talking about? Spiders. What's another way that I can refer to this subject other than spiders? Well, let's see. I could say this 8-legged predator because it's a predator throughout this whole process. So let's write 8-legged predator. What about the 8-legged predator? So we're going back up here to how they transform. These 8-legged predators transform their prey into a liquid. Now I need to change this idea about how they transform their prey, but the whole idea is how they're drinking their food. So I'll go, these 8-legged predators need to drink their food. So I will put the word drink, food, and maybe we could say because solids are not an option. Maybe I'll just put solids and put a line through it if we want to include that, like an X. We have all of our information. Let's go back and practice our paragraph and add fancy words if we need to. Spiders transform their prey from solids to liquids in order to eat them. I have my topic sentence. I think it sounds pretty good. I could go back and what's important in this sentence? Spiders and prey. What kind of spiders? How could I describe this spider? Hungry spiders. Hungry spiders transform their prey from solids to liquids in order to eat them. Well, we could put hungry up there if we want. Famished. Famished spiders transform their prey from solids to liquids in order to eat them. First, they inject bugs. So, do the bugs even know that they're there? Maybe we could describe the bug. Unsuspecting bugs. Ooh, let's put unsuspecting. They don't know that they're there. First, they inject unsuspecting bugs with a venom to paralyze or kill them. Love it. Next, they wrap them with thin, sticky silk. Next, they wrap their victims in thin, sticky silk to carry them away. Later, they expel a fluid into the insects' bodies to turn them into a liquid. Wow, what's an important part of that sentence that needs to be described? I'm thinking the fluid. Is that a weak fluid or a potent fluid? Oh, a potent. Later, they expel a potent fluid inside the insects' bodies to turn them into a liquid. Finally, they use their hairs as a filter to suck up the liquid inside the insects. I think hairs sound good there. Finally, they use tiny hairs at the end of their mouth as a filter to drink their food. Let's just say food. We don't need to say liquid anymore. We now know that food is a liquid. Finally, they use tiny hairs at the end of their mouths as a filter to drink their food, to suck up their food. Go to the conclusion. These eight-legged predators, I already described them, eight-legged. These eight-legged predators drink their food. I already said food up here. Instead of food, let's say meals. These eight-legged predators drink their meals. These eight-legged predators can only drink their meals. We have our entire sentence. We've added some fancy words. We've practiced it over and over again. If students have difficulty with complete sentences, then we add this last part. Punctuation time! Shake out your red pencil. Let's go back to each sentence and let's add our capitals and any punctuation. Hungry spiders, famished spiders. Hungry, let's start with hungry, capital H. Hungry and famished spiders transform their prey from solids to liquids in order to eat them, period. First, capital, comma, they inject their victims. First, they inject bugs with a venom to paralyze or kill them, period. And I'm going to put the word to there to remember how to connect that. Next, the spiders wrap their victims in a sticky, thin silk to carry away to a safe place, period. Later, comma, they expel a potent fluid inside the insects' bodies to turn them into a liquid, period. Finally, they use tiny hairs at the end of their mouth as a filter to suck up their food, period. These, capital, eight-legged predators can only drink their meals, period. All of the capitalization, commas, and periods are in place. The students are ready to write, but beforehand, I tell them, turn to your buddy with your paper and read your paper to your buddy. I walk around the room. Students who have control over their writing and can say these sentences, then I tell them, you may begin writing. As I'm listening, if I hear students who are having difficulty forming these sentences, I'm going to pull them in a small group and we will orally rehearse these sentences. They need more language practice because if you can't say it, you're not going to be able to write it. At this point, I'm differentiating. I have students who are writing and I have students who are still working on the language piece. As soon as they have the language down, they go back and they write. I walk around the room while students are writing, and at that point also, I'm encouraging everyone to keep reading your organizer. Read it, practice how you're saying each sentence, change the sentences, revise them through your language. When you think it sounds good, then start writing it down. Keep going back and rereading your organizer, rereading your work, so I should hear you talking as you're writing. And as I walk around, not only am I encouraging students to do that, I'm watching students and observing them as they write to see if anyone needs me to jump in to scaffold to help them if they have some problems in their writing. That means I'm giving them immediate feedback. I'm not waiting to collect a finished paper and then meet with them one-on-one to instruct them in a conference situation about some errors or difficulties or different ways that they can write. I can do that on the spot as they're writing. The more immediate the feedback, the more the students will learn and increase their writing achievement levels. In other words, the quicker I am giving them feedback, they will understand because this is right when they're writing it down, I'm giving them feedback. I'm not having time pass and then meeting with them one-on-one to discuss these errors. It's very powerful to give that immediate feedback, and in this process, you can do that. As we head into our school year, these lessons will no longer be whole group where we're doing this together. I may do whole group lessons like this for several paragraphs. Then I may say, we're going to do our next paragraph in table groups. And what that means is you're going to take one of our brainstorm ideas and in mixed ability table groups, you're going to work together through the steps. So I, the teacher, would say, step 1, SS light bulb, make your topic sentence. And the groups would then walk through and they would work together making their topic sentence. And I could go around to the different groups and I can give them feedback and help as needed. Once they have their topic sentence, then I'll say, body, tell your group what organizer you're going to need. And I'm walking them through the steps. Eventually, I will have students in partners. That means likability, no longer mixed like a table group, but likability where as partners they're writing paragraphs and planning their organizers. Once I have partners grouped together, those partners need to have enough ability to actually write information. That means that other children who are slower progressing may become my partner. I may have them in a small group working with them, giving them more repetitions of this process. They need more paragraph writing to learn the process. As they learn the process, then they will be put into partners. And eventually, everyone in my room should be independently writing information. So we go from whole group lessons focusing on the steps, because if I learn those steps, then I can write any information. I'm learning the thinking piece. I'm learning how to take the ideas, organize them, form sentences in order to take it to writing. Once I have that thinking piece down, I can take any information and write about it. And that's the whole process here. Whole group, table, partners, independent. From this format, how to slowly release your students from whole group, high levels of scaffolding, to slowly releasing them to independently write, that would mean then at the beginning of the year, when you have student writing, you will see similar papers. As you put your students writing up on the wall, all the papers will look similar. Why? Because in the process of learning how to write, you need to have everyone writing about the same thing so you can focus on the steps. As the year goes on, you will start to see that group of papers that look similar lessens because you will have more and more students who can start independently writing on their own. And finally, at the end of the year, when you're looking at all your student work, everyone should have their own writing. One last thing also is when you are breaking students up into table groups, at first, you may have them using the brainstorm that you've done as a whole class. But down the road, you can break them up into table groups where each table group begins with the brainstorming process, a big piece of butcher paper, and that table group of mixed ability students are thinking of all the different things they know about their subject, sorting it on their paper, and you're walking around to the table groups and helping them with their brainstorms. And from there, the table groups will choose different brainstorms and write different paragraphs from those brainstorms. As the year goes on, partners will just brainstorm together. And finally, you will have students just on their own brainstorming their different ideas and then writing them on their organizers. So as you see, we go from a collective of everybody doing the brainstorm together to finally separate table groups, partners, and on your own. Those ideas then are transferred to the organizer for well-developed paragraphs. We just finished Stage 5, Informative Explanatory Writing, focusing on sequencing the details. The previous video was Stage 5, Informative Explanatory Writing, categorizing the details. The next video is going to be Stage 6, Descriptive Writing. That's where you're going to have still an introduction, body, and conclusion, but each part is different than the Stage 5. So the descriptive writing will have its own stage. I hope that you enjoyed this Stage 5 level, and I know when you go to Stage 6, you will find that the descriptive writing is a powerful activity that your students will enjoy. Good luck.